Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle. Surprise.
Whoa.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fuck good. If What the Actual Fuck was a movie, out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Saluti cari a membri del Chuddle Club. Grazie per esserti unito a noi per un nuovissimo incontro del Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club.
Very good.
Sono raggiunto dai bellissimi cooccupanti della capsula, Ross
Oh, hey.
e Sam.
Zappa.
Come state entrambi?
Bien. What? I'm not sure if that's right.
I'm sorry, Brian. I don't have the subtitles on.
Ah,
I don't know
fantastico.
what you're saying.
Inoltre non possiamo dimenticare I nostri meravigliosi patroni, la nostra congrega della streghi. Il vostro sacrificio si dà la vita e ringraziamo le vostre bellissime anime. That's for our patrons. Ora con tutti I membri del club di stasera presenti e informati,
so
il tempo di aprire il cubook e iniziare ufficialmente la riunione di stasera.
Give me that goo. Oh, yeah.
First order of business for tonight.
That was
Thanks for
amazing.
that was, I mean, that was fun.
That was fun.
That was
I had
great.
fun.
Very Italian. I assume. Is that what that was?
Nope. That was Italian spoken with a Spanish accent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's how I know how to talk,
Pronounce
pronounce
same.
things. It's
Yeah.
mainly come from my
Yeah.
knowledge of Spanish stuff. So that was fun. I said, I just wrote the first one and then I just kept going with it. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. They'll understand what's going on.
They'll get the gist of it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Especially because I spoke it so well. So like, you're like, I get this. I get
Oh my
this.
God, it was like I was watching a classic horror
It's like you were
story.
in Italy and you're just right there. So,
I got transported like
Like I never
Tenebrae.
left.
Tenebrae, exactly. That's playing in the background. You probably just hear Tenebrae in the background right now. It's always playing here.
Actually, when you were talking, I had no idea what was going on. It was Fear in Italian.
So we're going to start it with our spoiler-free Goonopsis and toe tagline. In this gruesome suspense film, strangers traveling in southern Itoly become stranded in the woods where they must fight desperately to get out alive. There's no taglines for this film. So,
Oh, wow.
well, I mean, maybe there is
Did
or
we
something.
say that we're talking about a classic
Right.
horror story? Have we said the name of the movie?
I mean, maybe, I didn't actually even say
In Italian.
They know
I know it's in it's on the title. I'm
It's
sure
in the
they know.
title.
But yes, a classic horror story does not have
On
any
Netflix.
taglines, and that is the Goonopsis for you right there. Yeah, nothing that I saw on IMDb. There was like nothing on the poster besides like directed and written by like and our cast and stuff. So you know, just
Yeah, that's good.
straight to
And I
it.
think it's a
Yeah.
Into it.
good Goonopsis because you don't need you don't want to know more than that.
Don't need to know a lot. Just need to know just enough. Who made it? I have this like annotation here because I'm wanting to make this forever. It says who made it, and then it says like who run it. I wanted to make a who
Who
made it yeah thing, but it just has never happened. Who made it? I needed to get that out there.
Who made it?
So, a classic horror story was directed
ain't made it. Sorry.
by Roberto De Fio and Paolo Stripoli, written by them as well as Lucio Besana, Milo Tassoni, and David Bellini. Some of our key players in this film are Matilda Anna Ingrid Lutz as Elisa, Francesco Russo as Fabrizio, Peppino Mazzotta as Riccardo, Will Merrick as Mark, Yulia Bull as Sophia, Alida Baldaria Calabria as Chiara, and Christina Donadio as Le Mama. So, I mean, that's obviously there's more people to pop in, but that's what you need to know.
Agreed.
Agreed. I'm glad you agree, and let's see what else we agree on over here.
Fatality.
You know what we like to do. We like to put things into numbers and numbers into other things to give us little meters and such. So this is the Goro meter, where we go on a scale of 1 to 10. Psycho to the sadness and try to figure out how goddamn gory this film is. So, gentlemen, consistency and intensity, break that down 1 to 5 on each of those with our total coming in. For our Goro meter, Ross, how do you feel about this one here?
Man, I had this one at around like a 6.5. Like, I think there's some intense scenes. They push the not push the envelope, but there were certain. I thought they were going to push it harder on certain things and didn't. But I was pleasantly surprised on what they did do throughout this movie. So,
Sam, do you agree?
I was actually at a 7. I had 3 for consistency and a 4 for intensity, because I think the times we do get it, it is pretty intense. That 3 for consistency might be a little high because it is a few moments, but it is kind of throughout. You get it straight at the beginning and as you watch. So
I agree with you, Sam.
I'll stay where I am. Yeah.
I agree with that, because I think our intense scenes, there are some stuff that, I mean, while we've seen gooier, they are, I don't know, I feel like kind of like grab on some certain things,
Oh, yeah.
some misery type moments where you're just like,
yeah,
oh,
it plucks some strings.
and that's
where
kind
you
of
just
like,
go, "Oh."
okay, yeah. So I agree with the 7, a 4 for intensity, 3 for consistency, because you get the sputterings of it throughout. And on from there, we go over to here.
Who is the horror forward?
This is, sorry, I'm being goofy over here. This question's pretty much asking,
Yeah.
what kind of horror subgenre does this belong to? What kind of environment is it best to watch it in? And is it for beginners? So kicking up with genre, I said occult, cabin in the woods, not necessarily the
Yes.
movie, but
But
cabin in
yeah.
the woods
But that-
type
that kind of
feel, like if
vibe.
like a cabin in
Yes.
the woods.
Yes,
An
totally.
isolated feeling of a movie.
folk
I would
horror.
almost say like
yes, folk.
like folk horror for sure. Without
Genre
if you like-
subversive.
yes, twisty. If you like things with a little bit of a tweak twist, then that's that genre.
Yeah, if you didn't figure out from the title of Classic Horror Story that they might be doing something different on a traditional tale, they might be.
Or they might just be
Without
playing it
spoiling
straight.
anything.
It's a classic horror story. So, classic.
I wasn't
that's the
expecting
that's the
that.
true twist.
So, that's what we could throw it into. Best environment to watch this in, I said kind of quiet, dark. Seems like the
It's a
most
watchy
fun
movie.
Yeah, watchy. And for beginners.
I think this is a hard one just because technically, yes. On paper, yes. But I feel that you should probably... This is like Journeyman. You're not an apprentice horror head. You're kind of get a few under your belt and then do this, because I think
I think
the
it'll be more
play on
fun.
other movies. Yeah, because it does play on other movies and other genres and things like that. So if you're not really well acquainted with like folk horror
It's still
or some of the tropes and stuff like that, you'll still enjoy it, but you're not going to get that like extra flavor that's thrown in here for like horror movie heads.
I totally agree. Is it for beginners? Sure. Will you enjoy it more if you're more familiar with horror? Absolutely.
Most likely, yeah. I agree with that. So let's go ahead and open our windows and I thought like a cool
What,
little
in
fun
a
thing to say
moth
would just
person?
come to me, but I should have known better. Because the Flutterins are coming and our turtle harbinger of doom is waltzing in the room. Ooh, I like that. That's like his like intro music.
Dum, 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 dum.
Ooh, I like that.
Boys.
Hello, boys. I'm back again.
This one's straight up not for emetophobes right away. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
The second scene involves like, I don't know if you see like blatantly a lot of vomit, but it's a vomit into a toilet.
There's
Noises.
there's definitely some puke.
So watch
Couple times.
out for that.
Dead animals.
Dead animals.
Dead animals.
Child death.
We've got child death. Yes. Yeah.
That's in here. But then, I mean, yeah, just other kind of normal stuff there.
Standard horror
Standard
fare.
horror
beyond
fare at that
Yeah.
point. Which is a great place to bid farewell to the Harbinger of Doom and buckle up as we head straight.
He just gets played off like an old time piano.
Spoiler zone. Now let's go to IMDb behind the scenes.
Yeah.
IMDb behind the scenes doesn't have any much. There's we got like 2 things here. I think there was a third, but it wasn't really much here. So the story of Osso, Mestroso, and Carganoso is based on an urban legend that is still popular in Italy. The original legend dates back to the 15th century when the brothers were exiled from Spain because they murdered their sister's rapist. The brothers landed off the coast of Favignana near the Sicilian islands, where they created new social rules and eventually founded 3 major criminal organizations in Italy: the Cosa Nostra, or the Mafia, the that one's really hard, and the Camorra. Some mafias and shit. That's
All mafias.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Osso in Italian means bone, Mastroso means master bone, and Cargagnoso means heel bone. That's what IMDb behind the scenes has for us.
All bones, baby.
Hey, I'm glad they had that because I was kind of curious about those names because it gets talked about in the film, and obviously I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, we'll just kind of like roll through this film. You know, if you haven't seen this one yet, I do recommend to go watch it. We'll kind of roll through this here and then get into the spoilers, and we're in the spoiler territory.
Oh, we
so
already did the spoilers.
we can do whatever we want here, but you know,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a little fair warning.
Yeah.
But before we do that real quick, I picked this one to continue our Italian month because it was a newer Italian film. I figured most people probably gravitate towards the giallos and the older stuff when you think of an Italian film. I was like, they got to still be making movies.
Yeah.
So
2021.
2021. Yeah, I did a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of like searches.
Which I'm glad
around,
you
so.
did because we did 6370,
Mhm.
and then the patron suggestion, the Beyond is 80, I think, or 81.
Okay.
So we're really covering the decades here.
Yeah, precisely.
Nice.
We don't, I feel like, yeah, we've got a good spattering of what's going on there. And the new stuff, like I said, it's just, I feel like it had, I don't know, it felt Italian. It was shot beautifully.
Yeah,
Oh,
beautiful. As soon as
yes.
you see the first shot of the deer head on the wall, I was like, oh yeah, still got it.
Yeah, like the
I know where we are.
cinematography is fantastic. The lighting is fantastic.
Colors,
It's just like
yeah.
Classic.
classic. It just Italian movie. It's actually really comforting, to be totally honest with you, when you have something from 2021 and it still has that like straight up gut punch amazing cinematography that like I'm used to in all the giallos and all the stuff from like the 70s and 80s and things like that. And then seeing it in 2021, I'm like, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I was happy to see it in a new context where it didn't feel like a blatant ripoff or like
Yes.
of something else. It just felt like just felt good.
Yeah. Like the filmmaker's taste had been informed by
By
these
other
movies
things, but it was
without
their own-
trying
yeah.
to make Yeah.
Thank you for finding those words for me. So this movie opens up with a woman strapped to a table, all bloody and beaten. So beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Well,
just
it starts on a
gorgeous.
deer head on a wall, and as it like pans,
Right.
it zooms out and then pans down, and you see her tied up. Yeah. And we get some gore right away.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
it's
much. It
just
they're a
blood and
fucking
cuts,
big
you know what I mean?
hulking feeling figure thuds into the room, like dragging this giant sledgehammer
Don't
type
really
thing.
see it. You
Mallet.
just see the giant
Huge
mallet.
mallet.
Yeah.
It gave
like
me
Harley Quinn.
It doesn't really go this route, I don't think, but this guy gave me like Resident Evil vibes, like some fucking big like fucking thing that's
So I got some like Silent Hill
I was
pyramid
gonna say
head,
Silent
like
Hill. I could see.
there you go.
lumbering mass, like stars, like
Yeah, that type of character. So immediately I'm like, oh, okay, we're going. Let's do this. And then he walks across, dragging this thing. We get like an eyeball from above, looking down. Someone's looking into what's going on this situation.
Someone's being a voyeur.
And then the mallet races in the air, and we get a nice little smash cut to an RV traveling down a beautiful Italian landscape. And we get some nice landscapes of this RV going, and then that eventually leads us to Elisa. She is our main character here, and she's thrown up in a toilet, and that's how we get her introduction. Eventually, she's at like a rest stop, like gas station, restaurant area, and she's on the phone with her mom. It all comes out that she is going back to her parents because she's going to have an abortion. She is pregnant, and her parents really want her to come and do this. There's too much going on in her career. She can't be bothered with any of this right now.
Just out of school, or she's an intern at some big place and can't afford this at her stage in her career or whatever. Later, the school has said that she graduated from, and it must be a really good school because
like a prestigious
the other
school.
girl's impressed by it. Yeah.
Right.
I love in this scene that she starts having that staring contest with whatever the saint is that's on the wall. Where she's like doing the texting, going back and forth. Like it's just like clearly it's just the shame, and you're like, she's just feeling like, okay, all right, just all right.
Yeah, and she's obviously apprehensive about it. I don't. Yeah, it could be shame of Catholicism and God or whatever like that, or
Shame
she just
of
wants the
religion
baby or
like
whatever
that.
it is. Like,
Well, I think with her character throughout the whole, like, it seems like she's not indifferent. Like, I think that she does want to have the kid. I think just for the auspice of her like her mom in particular, who seems like a very like
career driven,
overbearing,
career-driven, yeah, like focus on.
Yeah,
you can't be burdened by these things. Yeah, but like that kind of almost like all of that happens relatively quickly within this phone call, and she gets this alert that her essentially rideshare type of thing is here, but it's like this whole carpooling system. So it like kind of pops
like
up of like
huge
who's
RV.
driving you, and here's the other passengers in this.
Yeah, it's like a group like Uber, but if it was like a long distance thing, it seems to be like it's somebody's going from one town to another, so they opened up their van to give other people a ride type of deal.
Which, I mean, in theory, that sounds great. I mean,
Yeah, it makes sense.
I doubt
it at
what
least
happens
seems
in this
small
movie.
enough that
Yeah.
you could do that kind of thing.
Which is great. So that introduces us to our main characters here, and we get the RV pulling up, rideshares here, and Fabrizio leads us off with his little fucking, like, he's coming in with his camera and like filming everything for Instagram and his reels or whatever he's doing there, and being like, who are you?
And I didn't-
Who are you? Tell me about yourself. So it's like very little. Here's our characters.
Here's all of our characters.
Yes.
It took the second and the beginning of a third go around when watching this to realize that he's like filming himself, and then he puts that earpiece in.
Oh yeah,
And then
that's-
keeps on talking and stuff like that.
it
Which I was
starts with him putting the earpiece.
the earpiece in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before he even says anything.
Even talks to those people. It's like I caught. Well, it's again, you catch it, but then the second time I caught it, as in like, oh, okay, this is all right.
I know what you mean, but I noticed it on my first watch, but I'm notorious for missing stuff. Like, you guys will say things and I won't even say anything. I'll be like, missed that, but all right, cool.
All right, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I noticed that. There's another point too when they're driving and he gets like that like tinnitus type of ringing that happens in it too.
Yep.
So I'm like,
That's
something
when,
happened here.
Mark asked him about it.
And I can only,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's like when they like pass like some sort of like point of no return type of thing. I could
Totally.
only assume
Maybe
so.
that's when
the barrier and they're in the
phones go down.
exactly.
Type of thing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
ooh, spoiler alert. We already are there. So why'd I say that?
Skirt.
Spoiler skirt. Let's get back into the RV here. So he's filming all his round thing. He's like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I love to do all this shit. But I'm also going to drive you all here. Who are you? Each of the people. Fabrizio introduces everyone. We got Ricardo, who's like this doctor who's going back home or something. He's all quiet and mysterious.
For his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Standoffish.
Mark and Sophia are this like just lovely couple that are just really into each other. And
Just that young, great
Going to a
couple.
friend's wedding.
yep. And then Elisa is our main character lady. Main character lady. So
Oh, main character lady.
they're all hanging out basically in the RV, making their way down the road. And Fabrizio's like, there's some drinks in the fridge. And they all started having a few beers and everyone's mingling, starting to try to get to know each other. And then our main character, she's not feeling well, has a little bit of morning sickness or whatever it is again. So they pull off to the side of the road. They're like in the middle of the woods and she runs off to throw up. The doctor pops out to make a phone call. So we get a little bit of more information about him.
Yeah, that's where we learn he's estranged from his wife. He's trying to see his daughter. He's sorry for saying whatever he said.
Right. And
But you never find out what he said.
yeah. And then she's off having her morning sickness. Mark decides that he wants to take over driving. He's like, I'm going to drive now. Let's fucking
the drunk. It's like, is he an American too?
No,
Or-
he's
he's from
UK.
England,
Yeah.
UK.
Bristol.
but he met
Yeah, you're gonna have
her in
the
America.
drunk Englishman take heed of the RV, and no one says anything.
he drives
everyone
better
kind of
when he's
complains
drunk.
about it,
Like
but
he
Well, the
he says
doctor's
it out
like, I'll
loud.
drive. Wait, I don't have my license. Fabrizio's like, no, absolutely not. And just, cowers and gives in.
mm-hmm.
Oh, and yeah, I guess nobody else seems to care.
No, it's not a big deal at that point because it just happens. And so they go off driving. All right, fine. Everything's happening. We get to like nighttime. Pretty much everyone is passed out except for Fabrizio and Mark in the front who's driving.
Mhm.
Mark's starting to nod off.
He's like nodding off.
So he's like starts striking up a conversation and everything. And then as they're driving, they come around a bend and there's like a dead goat in the middle of the road or something. So Fabrizio like tries to like grab the wheel and like swerve and then ram into a fucking tree and essentially get knocked out.
Yeah, and the camera pans over to the dead animal and then it fades to black and we get like feels like a few seconds of black before everything comes back.
Yeah.
Come back, yeah.
And then it's like daytime when we come back. So it's time has passed.
It's interesting how, because he was falling asleep at the wheel,
Mm-hmm.
but at a later point they bring up the fact that there was something in the beer that had everybody
absolutely.
black out, where it's just kind of, I don't know, that entire sequence is nuts to me, because if he was supposed to be driving, they all will just fall asleep in the back seat. It's crazy that this drunk Englishman was able to drive that far on such tainted beer. Like it's like beer
Everybody else
with
is passed
tranquilizer.
out and he doesn't fall asleep at all, right? When he's driving, it's just Fabrizio.
He nods off
He nods off for a
steering wheel.
second. Yeah. And then it's like he nods off and then he
and
starts
then they're
talking.
just hanging out talking.
Exactly.
Right?
And
So it's
then-
in the middle of the talking though that he grabs the wheel.
So it seemed like it wasn't like, it would just like, if you let yourself fall into it, you'll fall asleep and pass out probably pretty quickly. But like,
Yeah,
I think you could fight it
I
well
don't know.
enough. I don't know. Who knows what the hell he put in there? Anyway, so
that's true.
this all happens. We wake up in the morning. Mark's leg is all busted to fuck. The doctor's like, we got to get a splint and, like secure
This
his
goo
leg
scene
and everything.
with the bone popping out was like awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's his kneecap popping out or something like
Yeah,
that.
somewhere
Or is it
around
like,
around the kneecap, around the like shin.
Ugh.
Like, yeah, it's
when they when the doctor like readjusts it and like the bone slips, I literally went, ugh, oh no.
yeah, because Mark's girlfriend, Sophia,
One of
she
those
runs out.
situations where I miss that.
Oh yeah. She runs out. She's like, I have tent poles. We can use that to splint it. But then all this happens kind of chaotically. as
We got to get to the road.
Yeah, Elisa's waking up and everything, and then they realize that they're not on the road anymore. They're not where they crashed. They're in the middle of a field, and in that middle of the field too is like this fucking creepy ass cabin.
The Evil Dead house?
More
Straight
evil,
up like
looking.
Reminds me of Midsummer.
I was gonna say Midsummer. If the triangle in Midsummer banged the cabin from Evil Dead, like this would be their firstborn. Like it's got these weird like
angles
and shapes to it, but it looks like it's been there for like 500 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the RV is in this middle of the field with this cabin, and then surrounded by that is all forest on all sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they
I
even
thought
bring
this
up,
was so cool. When this happened, I was like, oh man, like that fade to black was bringing us into this new world. What's going on? Like I was really into it at this point.
Well, it's also an interesting, I think they actually bring it up in dialogue a little later on, is that like when you get the atmosphere of the clearing, the building, and then all of the trees around it, how almost impossible it is that the RV made it there by accident.
The doctor brings it up. He's like,
right.
look at all, like, how did we just wind up here? Yeah.
Wind up here. Like there's like this had to have been placed here.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely no way we organically just like missed all of these trees through the forest and landed up here.
At this point, I was like, oh fuck, are we getting a time loop?
Right? I was almost thinking that. And I
did.
did think that at another part too. But so they go out and they kind of try to like look around in the cabin and they see in, but like nothing's open. So they don't try to push it yet. So then they go back into the RV. And like a lot of these shots too, I was like, this is like, Sam Raimi does get mentioned. Like, I think Fabrizio's like, we're in the fucking Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi's cabin is what he says.
So it's like that. And I feel like mixed with, it's a Sam Raimi Evil Dead mixed with also like a Wes Anderson movie. Because it's very like symmetrical, everything.
Yes.
You get a lot of these like really symmetric shots, which I thought was fun. But they're back in the fucking RV figuring out this is when the doctor's like, the trees, look how close they are together. You're saying we just kind of like weaved our way through here. So shit's like more sus than we realize or whatever. He wants to go and figure out what's going on. So he's like, I'm going out and going to go find help. And then I think Fabrizio like runs out and after him. He's like, we got to go south.
Chases after him.
Yeah. He's like, you need to like look at the sun.
What are you, a Boy Scout?
Yeah.
Like, no, but I grew up around here. Follow the sun. You need to go south. And the guy's like, all right, that's south. I'm leaving. And he walks out of frame. It's this big wide shot that's really pretty again. And then Fabrizio's like, what's he going to do? Is he going to go back to the RV? And nope, he turns and runs after the doctor. Which again, on rewatch, you look at moments like that differently. Should we go ahead and say it now? Or do we want to?
Well, we already kind of mentioned that
spoilers.
the fucking beer was drugged. So obviously someone drugged it.
Things are amiss.
So yeah, we get them going off on their own adventure while other crews just hanging out in the RV. While they're Fabrizio and Ricardo are out in the woods, they're moving about. Eventually, they come upon some sort of
a clearing, small clearing,
and then like within that is this like
a wicker shrine.
Yeah, with like these scarecrow figure type things with these red.
You've got these like
cloaks
3
on 'em.
monoliths that are like 20 feet tall with like red shawls on top of them, all made of like wicker, and then underneath them, it's 5. Right, there's 5 severed animal heads on pike poles. And then like with blood and shit like that dripping. And then it's got a label on the front of the
3 Knights of Honor.
The 3 Knights of Honor.
So
in Italian. So it's actually Le Cavalieri Nobrale.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
While that's happening, back in the RV, like I said, Sophia and Lisa are hanging out. Sophia's like, I print 3D jewelry and sell it, and that's my business. And she's like, cool, that's awesome. And eventually, Mark's passed out. Eventually, I think Sophia passes out, and Elisa kind of like looks back up at the house and notices that the door is opened.
Is now open.
She's like,
It was
Yeah,
not
well,
open
now I just
prior.
have
Before
to
they
go
went
in
over
there.
there was locked.
Yeah. And this is all interspliced with Fabrizio and Ricardo back at the pigheads, and like, there's like 5 of them, right? And, like freaking out. Elisa goes into the cabin. What's that?
I was just gonna say also, one of the other features we see in this field area with the cabin is these like poles or something set up that have, it looks like lights and speakers on them, like floodlights and speakers. At this point, we don't know what they're used for, but it's just another like mystery to solve.
Right. Yeah. And they're just like creepy looking. Bunch of creepy looking speakers.
They are.
Right?
Everything's really
good set design.
Yeah. Yeah. A really good set design. Exactly. So Elisa's kind of like.
I also like the antler things, the antler teepee things at the, in the same pig head area. There's just like a bunch of posts with these giant antlers tied to them.
A lot of cool,
very like
folk
Wicker Man pagan kind
imagery.
Of
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of, when Elisa makes her way into the house, she kind of like sees the deer head on the wall and like makes her way around the corner, and this is where we eventually get to this whole like not tapestry, but like a whole bunch of pictures of like hooded
all
figures and photos and all this very fucking cult
all these people
shit.
in like there's just group shots of people in animal masks.
Just I mean,
just like
you got to take.
I actually took it back because I was confused. I was like, did I miss something? Because the way is this the part where it's cutting to Fabrizio telling the story? They're all in the cabin now.
Yeah, she goes in first and sees it, and then it kind of cuts to them all together in there as he tells this story. So yeah, he gets in there and starts telling the story of Oso, Mistroso, and Cargagnoso, which symbolize the leadership of the group that worships them in exchange for abundance and riches through human sacrifice. So it's this whole story of the brothers that came to the land, and like they
there was a terrible famine.
So
they required someone's tongue, eyes and ears for sacrifice so that people could not be starving anymore.
And I love that little like whoa, like painting of the wicker guy with the human eyes and the tongue sticking out, and the
tongue with the ears and shit is so good. It's okay. So when you see the three knights that like in the painting, and I kind of have it behind me while we're recording, it's man. At this point, I got such like my mind went into two different factions. So the way it's painted is very like Tomb of the Blind Dead or like the church, where it's like, okay, so I'm like, we're dealing with like demons. Like these are like three demons that showed up and decided to, sacrifice. But the way that he says, like they traveled from a far, far away. I also was like, so three aliens showed up and they want all this weird sacrifice shit. At this point, part of my brain was like, did Bryan give us an Italian sci-fi? Is this like a sci-fi horror movie?
An alien cult movie?
Yeah, I literally like that. That was in the back of my mind.
I would have loved to have found that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, now we can make it.
Ooh, an Italian alien cult movie. I'm there for it.
Because the paintings are amazing. Like the way that he sets up the description of how these entities came to power.
Like paintings on the wall that tell the story. So as he's explaining what happened, the camera's panning across all the different paintings that illustrate the tale.
And they
which
look
is something
very
he
much...
says he like grew up hearing. It's like a local legend type of deal.
Oh, totally. And it's got like almost like Harmonious Bosch-esque kind of like contorted human figures and these like weird amorphic the paintings are just fantastic.
Yeah. That set design, the art, the props to the props team and all that kind of the art department.
Hey.
Shout out already. They get my stamp of approval.
Stamp.
Hey, it's the blue shirts. All right, so they decide that they're going to spend the night in the RV. Fabrizio at one point goes out to drain the lizard, and they're kind of like hanging out, figuring out what the fuck to do. They hear
this is a cool shot.
There's a couple things that happen at the same time while Fabrizio's out peeing. He's like, like peering out into the foggy woods, and out of the mist and into the fog, like two figures.
That's what you're there.
Yeah, there's the two figures, but they're wearing the sort of.
They're wearing all
the characters have these like wooden masks that are made to look like forest creatures, but they also kind of blend.
Dope,
Like you could
yeah.
almost be like, is that a tree or is that a person?
Yes.
I can't tell.
They're
It's
very
a really cool,
wooden looking,
cool look.
and they also
Mhm.
sometimes will have like antlers or some shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, or
branches.
weird ears, or like
Mhm.
I do really like the introduction to these, for better choice of words, like cult members.
Yeah.
That's a thing. The herd. Let's just say the herd.
flock.
When the herd shows up, the flock.
Yeah, towards the end.
Well, when the two show up, it's like I love that transition because you see the fog and it's like a dissolve almost, where it's like
that's
they're not
100% what's
Yeah, where it's like it's not like they didn't. Oh no, but it is. It's like, but it's such a well done shot because it makes you feel like they literally emerged out of nothingness.
I think it invokes the feeling of what you would kind of like
Would be like if you
in
were
that
out there
situation of
looking,
like
yeah.
they just
Yeah.
fucking are those people literally just morphing in front of me?
Are
Like,
those people or
or is
they
that
even,
wood?
Yeah, what is happening? Yeah.
so many times
Right.
out in the woods you're like, is that it's just wood. This time it wasn't wood.
Just some wood.
But they
It
didn't
was not
they
wood
don't
this
do
time.
anything. So he runs back and then like bangs on the RV door, but the girls had heard some screaming coming from inside the cabin, so they go investigate that. And then Fabrizio runs up,
He gets the doctor.
and
as
yeah,
he's
the
running by
doctor's
RV. Yeah.
still in there. Mark's still in the RV. He's like, we got to go inside. There's people. It's all freaky. Everything's going down. So they all run in.
Because they're going up to the attic, right?
Well, this is
they're-
all
at this point,
concurrently
they-
happening. Like the girls had
The
gone
girls
inside
are
to
already in the
investigate
attic.
what was going on inside. So they're already
Yeah.
inside by the time Fabrizio's coming back to the RV to get the doctor.
Right.
They
When
discover
they enter, they see it's swinging the attic,
Oh,
the
yeah.
chain you would pull down to get in the attic.
so that's
why they investigate.
Yeah, so that starts the investigation up there. And then eventually they get pulled inside, and then this is when we get to find out what the creepy horn pole with lights was all about.
Oh yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
Speaker pole.
They're
Speaker box.
also
Speaker
while
box.
they're up there, wrapped in like a. I
Wicker?
don't even know how to describe it. Like a Russian nesting doll with
Yeah.
the face cut out
Yeah.
of wicker.
That's what
There's
essentially
a
it
little
looks like,
girl, and we know she has her tongue cut out because there's a jar with a tongue in it next to her. And as they're like trying to figure out what to do, that's when the lights change. Everything goes red and the sirens going off.
Fucking yeah, like
What
fucking
the
like air
fuck
raid
is
sirens.
going
Like,
on? And then you see like the three knights coming up,
bro,
and they have Mark
Yeah.
with them.
that shit's
They got him
scary.
from the RV and dragging
dragging him
inside.
in. Oh my god, yeah, that was
This shit is awesome. Like I
the
love
imagery is
the imagery. The set design is amazing. The costume design is amazing. The creature designs for
Yes,
the three
the
knights is
mask
fucking
designs,
amazing. And
yeah.
the flock herd, however, what is
Yep.
it? It's herd in the subtitles.
It's
flock
heard in Italian,
the dub.
flock in English.
Yeah, okay.
Because I watched it both ways.
It's
Sam watches
God,
both
it's
ways.
so awesome because it's so easy to fuck up something that's supposed to look like it's from nature. You know what I mean? And these all give the vibe of like
twisted nature.
twisted, yeah, like just I don't know. It's not the
It's
right
like
word, but it's the first one it goes in.
bent.
It comes into my mind like it's like bark, but like cancerous, as in like
Burl.
burl wood. No, but it's like it morphs, like it moves like wood shouldn't, but it's organic and fleshy, and they look like it's just oh god.
The
fucking-
character design, the mask design on all of them are great, but on the one that represents the tongue with
Yeah.
the like wood and the hole and this giant sort of slurping tongue out of it is so gross and off-putting and awesome. I really, really like that one.
It's great.
I think we should. There is three of us. We could dress up as these guys. We were thinking
Done.
face reveal, and then it's a photo of us dressed up like this.
These guys.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Done.
So everything's fucking going down. They rush up into the cabin and are like, we gotta fucking figure out. So they all are up in the attic, and the doctor or Fabrizio, whoever's like, close the hatch. We're gonna hide up here, be quiet as shit. Like, while this is going on, and they drag Mark into the fucking cabin and put him on Old Faithful, the table that we saw.
That table we saw from the opening. Mm-hmm. And Ricardo upstairs is holding Mark's girlfriend. He has to like hold her with his mouth over, or his hand over her mouth.
With his mouth over her mouth.
So that
it's an Italian film.
It's Italian film. With his hand over her mouth, but like that is gut wrenching because that actress
she's right over she's right over she's being held right over a crack in the ceiling to look right at him.
Yeah, that's the worst. And what does she see? Well, he gets strapped down to this table and he's like, well, you got to take
good. I was not
you
expecting
got to go full misery on this one. And why? Just for the hell of it, apparently, because we're gonna take out his ankles first. We get to see what that big mallet sledgehammer was used for.
Yeah,
pop
right on the foot. And when that happens,
just
like
hobbled his fucking legs. Dude.
Leg breaks. You see the bones come out. I saw those bones on both of them.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Those were good bones.
Your kneecap just exploding out of your body, and then no less than like 8 hours later, just getting both of your ankles shattered.
Jesus Christ.
Oh God. And him screaming too was just like, fucking
they acting, they pulling it off.
That's good.
They doing
well
it.
Done.
And
they done did it.
Well, that was just the appetizer for our main course, which is we're gonna put this fucking vice thing over his head, which have these two little spikes right where the eyeballs would go, which is convenient that Mark's face shape matched up with these. It fit perfectly.
Well, they might not use it every time, but they're get out the face
I think
squisher.
his will match up.
He's perfect.
Yeah. I'd like to. That would have been funny to see where it doesn't quite match up or something, just a little bit off.
Well, that's why they twist it until it's right above the eyes, and then what we don't see is them looking down and being like, "Oh,
they have like perfect. A laser level, and they like, come back up. It's like, okay, great. And then, well, since it all matched up, they're going to continue that operation, and they just twist that, because oh my God, that fucking tension.
I was kind of hoping we don't see it. The tension is great, but the way how we just saw the legs and everything, I was really hoping for some more great practical goo effects, but
that's okay.
There's historically there are some amazing eyeball gore effects in Italian movies, so I was super anticipated for like an eye popping scene. And I hate to say I don't hate to say it. I was highly disappointed I didn't get one because it ramps you to that and it literally just takes it off the gas a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
I wanted to see it just for the practical effect, like just to see what they did. Because more and more I'm becoming curious about that type of thing. But I also don't like the eye stuff. So just as the tension's going on, I'm like, let's just get this fucking over with.
I think pulling it back from showing it does. Not elevates the wrong word. There is something to be had there for doing that and not fully showing it. It could have also been maybe there is that and it just didn't look well. So they're like,
that's also very true.
What if the effect didn't play well and they're like, let's just cut it before then. And I think that works too but we did just get the visceral, like fucking bone cracking, ankle snapping and stuff. I don't know if I needed.
Honestly,
it would have been fun to just if it just you just see like a spurt of eyeball goo pop as it goes down. And
no, you make a really good point. I mean, you just did see both ankles get just knocked 90 degrees in the wrong direction. I think it's
Yeah, you need to leave somewhere to go later in the movie.
And so, but. Ultimately, we said we put down, we crush them, and bye Mark. Mark's gone.
Oh, bye Mark.
Bye Mark.
Our big man and unknown figures scoop up Mark, leave the fucking cabin, and we're just left to be like, well, we get this like
lights, siren stop, light, red lights go off.
And at certain moments, there's like this kind of beautiful Italian music going on as well that plays throughout as well.
Because they play, they bring in that little,
they play a song,
play the cassette,
which I wonder if that's the song that Fabrizio is like, I'll give you a hint where we're going, and he sings a little bit of Italian. He's like, that's right, Calabria or whatever it is. It would make sense if it was the song that they were playing.
So after this whole big scene, we get a nice little fade out, and then it comes back to Sophia just like this beautiful shot of her face, just fucking her just like not moving, but just crying. And like, because That's an intense thing to see. They're still up in the attic trying to figure out what the hell to do. I think they're pulling the girl out of the wicker stuff at this point.
Yeah, after this has happened, the doctor, Ricardo, is just immediately just starts tearing that apart and pulls her out.
And he's like, fine, whatever. He's like, he's not about it. He's about getting out of here with as few people as possible weighing him down. He's like, we need to fucking just go. And
right. He tells our main girl she's your responsibility.
Yes, that's it.
So before they take off, she runs and gets a pair of shoes for that little
nice,
girl.
right?
It was a really nice touch.
That was
Right.
very sweet.
Yeah, it did add a little bit of like, good character, a motherly instinct.
There you go. Exactly. It kind of just adds in, it doubles down on that feeling.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like, okay, this forced
because also when she got out,
the girl embraced
the little
her.
girl immediately ran to her for an embrace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they make their way out of the attic, have to walk past the fucking bloody table, are out in the field, and this is when she runs over to the RV, grabs the extra pair of shoes. Awesome. And they're gonna start going. I think they go south again or something.
We have to march south.
Yeah.
Fabrizio's
slow motion running through the woods to a cool song.
A bunch of running, falling, getting back up, determined.
Beautifully shot, all of it.
I loved it. And that leads us to like this fucking like tiny little field road way of like a dozen cars, abandoned ass cars.
Abandoned cars that had clearly also been in accidents.
Like, God damn.
And I was like, oh,
here we
fuck.
go.
Yeah, all right.
Here we go.
Yes. Here we are, man.
Another clue.
So they're just trying to move their way through what the hell happened here, look for anything. Fucking Ricardo's like, I don't know, his fucking mind's
looking
constantly
for food or what.
moving. Like, I'm trying to find anything.
Cool. Here's a question for you guys, because I had the second watching.
Yeah.
Do you think these are props, or do you think that these are the remnants of other unfortunate people?
I don't know. It could be both, but I'm going to say I think
I think they're remnants.
I think they are maybe at this point.
Because the other thing with the props, like, we don't know. It seems like not much of everything that's happening is being filmed.
Well, I think everything that once we're in this area, I think everything there's a camera somewhere. Okay, so here it is. All this is being filmed. It's all a classic horror story being made.
Somebody's
exactly.
So
yeah.
all right. Oh, sorry.
The only reason I think that I kind of go back and forth on the cars. The reason they could be remnants is because who did we see in the first scene of someone getting killed? Right.
That's true.
Yeah, just
that could, and they seem to be using the same kind of
doing this.
I don't know. Same area, I guess, or
area,
like,
cabin, story, or whatever. Whatever it is.
Because the only reason why I thought it was props is because it's a film and not a series. You know what I mean? So like,
right.
I felt it was more prop-esque, but you're right too, because there's other bodies and other people and the way this is like.
But that's right, yeah.
Now that we're going there, when we see the movie, a classic horror story, it's like 9 minutes and 40 seconds long.
I think the funniest.
It's so short. That's why I was like, how much of this is actually being filmed?
Right. It's like. That's a good point. I figured everything in the cabin is because there's obviously I think there's a camera in the deer head, right?
Oh,
well, we see when we get her
least.
in the seat. There's probably at least a dozen screens up that she's looking in front of
that shows all the different angles. See, okay, this is weird. I thought it said 90 minutes and not 9 minutes for the final thing. In my head, what we watched up until the reveal is the actual movie that they shot.
I
know what I mean?
I figured, I figured they're seeing this in some aspect, but I imagine more watching it from like a surveillance, like the
surveillance.
They don't see it exactly
like
as we see it. We're seeing the cinematic version, but if like the movie that's made, I imagine that there's cameras all within this.
The only
military kind of.
The only clips we see from a classic horror story are the beginning from Fabrizio's phone when he's like, "Introduce yourself," and then at the end when we know she has the camera. So. Like, we really don't see what any of the other bits are.
Well, we'll get to the end, and maybe I'll be able to like double check something.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
So we get a little bit more kind of building character. I think. Oh, What does
I love
props? So
one
this
of the
is
parts.
sorry. So a little tidbit. I have the movie kind of playing along as we're talking about it here, and I'm trying to move through and remember a few things. So while we're in the car yard here, she talks to she looks at the little girl, and they go to a car that has one of the her diary.
Photo with her family.
Exactly.
It was props. Okay, so it leans that it's probably. Oh, okay. All right.
I think it's probably a combination.
Exactly. It's kind of like you use
they probably
what you
had
have.
these cars from other people they've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were other movies made, maybe. Because
that makes
my
a
favorite
good point.
thing about
Definitely.
this
We know
is
there
the
are.
fact that this is the mafia that's doing this. So
I fucking hate it.
I love to think that all these cult members are just
That's
like
who's making this horror
mafia
movie.
guys that are like hanging out in their like cult outfits.
The crew and shit. Yeah. Well, we'll get to the flock later,
But at this part, I did love this moment when we still don't know what's going on. And she says to the girl something about like, we'll make our way out of this forest or something. And the girl writes down, it's not a forest. And then that's all we know. And that's our next clue. And I'm like, oh my
shit,
fuck,
what does that mean?
Dude, you know, my mind's racing for all the different things it could be. I love
bro,
that.
my
That was
head
fun.
still, the second she wrote it's not a forest, my head immediately went, this is sci-fi. Like, I don't know why, but I was dead set on this being a science fiction movie up until
they're in like another realm, another dimension,
another
a time
dimension,
loop,
another dimension,
all these
another
things.
dimension.
Precisely. I thought the same thing because then right after that leads them back to the cabin. So they like, walk through the woods a little bit more and then they're like, oh, fuck, we're back in the same place.
Which I thought we were going to get that initially when he's first walking with the doctor and they stop and we don't see what they stop. They're just reacting to it. I thought
There's going to be the cabin.
it was going to be, we came back to the cabin and after walking straight, but it was the pig heads and all that
we
other
got pig
stuff.
heads first. This takes us back here. Yeah. And like we've been
They
walking
get back
south.
to the cabin, or they get back, but there's no RV now, right? Like the RV's gone.
the RV's
Yes,
gone.
the RV is gone. Yes. But at least they left us a beer, says Fabrizio.
Yes. A very drugged beer.
Yeah. Very conveniently placed beer. So they're like, I guess we'll go back in the cabin. And 'cause what else are we going to do at this point?
Take shifts. Keep guard.
Take shifts, have some beer.
Mm-hmm.
So they hang out longer. What happens here? And then they'll pass out again.
Not even sure.
Right?
Yeah, essentially they all pass out again and she wakes up. Our main girl wakes up and maybe hears something outside, opens the door, and this is when we get that really fucking cool shot and scene and all this stuff. I love all this bit where we get the cult and the villagers and they're all wearing their masks and the doctor and the Mark's girlfriend, I'm blanking on her name, are like tied up on posts. And they're all
this whole ritual scene
all masked up, and she comes out and she's looking at everything and they all start going,
oh yeah, doing the gross
slobbery
noises
lick.
and
Yeah.
It's like so gross and off-putting and cool and
guys,
like
I thought the Mothman was going to show up like the second they started doing that, like
right. So yeah, that's right. They're doing all that and have this whole fucking grand ritual set up, which she's just like, you open the door and see that, you're like, ugh. So she goes back inside with
She gets,
Fabrizio.
Fabrizio runs out,
grabs her,
pulls her inside and shuts the door.
and kind of like
They,
throw
like,
something
cover the door
in front
with
of I think
yeah.
the table, more or less.
Could be, yeah, that would make sense.
So the ritual commences, more or less. They start doing their ritual stuff out there.
it's like they hold up her fucking tongue.
Oh, the little girl is in the
Wicker basket
she's
again.
back in her little wicker thing in the center. Yeah, they have her tongue. They cut off Ricardo's ear, or they take off his.
This is what
I forget what they.
This
do
is
to
what I
him.
love is that the way that it's shot, it seems like the girl's getting her ears cut off, and the doctor's getting his eyes gouged out. And then when they actually pull into it, you realize that it's reversed. Where it's like, because they go like straight in for like the doctor's eye, and you're like, what the fuck? And then he goes right into cutting his ear off. I thought that was a really funny, like pump fake. Because I caught it both times where I'm like, they're pantomiming like they're going to be doing it opposite. And then they wound up just like hacking his ears off and then fucking gouging her eyes out. And then they make the human eyeball
they
tongue
put it in there
pinata.
and make that little guy, and they start.
That is so wild.
I love
looking.
it. I love that little guy.
I do too.
And they raise the head up to the effigy, whatever it is that we're gonna call this thing.
Yeah.
And
Effigy's a good word for it.
I believe slit both their throats and just kind of end the people,
Yes.
and they're like
At the same
yeah,
time.
you gotta have a double,
sacrifice.
a double slitting.
Synchronized throat slitting.
We could do that at
10
Child
out of
Fest.
10.
It'll be
Ooh.
fake, but it'll be synchronized
Yes.
throat slitting.
It'll be
a contest,
of course, it'll
though.
be fake.
Whoever, we're the judges and people
Come up with a routine.
will-
Ooh, this is
Yeah.
fun. I like this idea. Synchronized slitting. Synchronized slitting, and it's a whole
It's its own Olympic sport.
yeah. Come on, man. You don't want to get
All right.
you want to get slitted.
You want to get
You wanna get
slitted?
slit? Oh, I didn't know you like to get slit. There's PCP in there.
Oh my god.
Oh, well, we're getting slit over here, and they're getting slit in this movie because throat slit. Everyone's freaking out. And then
Well, she's freaking out inside. They're all having their
they're
party out there.
fine.
She starts crying. Fabrizio's like, "Is it okay if I hug
I'm so
you?"
scared.
Mm-hmm.
And then while they are embraced, she hears something coming out of that hearing aid of Fabrizio.
Get her
Yeah.
to move towards the deer head. Can you get her to move towards the deer head?
Oh yeah, and
She rips it out, hears that, sees the beer bottle, pieces together. He never drank from it. It must be drugged. He's still trying to convince her, but then he just starts
He just
cursing. right?
loses
He's just
his
like,
shit.
"Fuck,
yeah, then he just
like,
loses it.
"Fucking bitch."
Yeah, you fucking bitch. You ruined
And then
everything.
and a beautiful shot again, we see almost like presumably from the deer head perspective, and he's kind of sad,
The camera.
yeah.
disappointed, and is sort of
Take
looking
her.
down, and he's taker, yeah, and you just hear thump, 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 thump. Door opens, huge fucking
Burly
knight
dude comes
and
in,
they
yeah,
drag her away.
grabs her. Oh man, that's a awesome scene. And you're like, what is happening? Okay. I mean, I get it, I understand, but yeah, that it's just a whole
Weird. At first, okay, when the twist happens that it's fake, my first gut impulse was like, oh, god damn it. Because I like the story. Like, I actually like
too.
the pagan-y kind of three knights, and I would have loved to have seen something fucking weird, like a portal open, or that they're fucking aliens, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like, it's fake.
so
and I'm like,
with you.
oh, well, I mean, okay. Like,
Because like we mentioned Cabin in the Woods earlier, and we're like not like Cabin in the Woods, but it kind of is like Cabin in the Woods. But at least in that, the audience knows that as they're watching it. We know that these people are going through this fake cabin in the woods. The audience, as the audience in this, we're hooked. We're already hooked on the story they gave us, and then I don't know. For me, I don't like any of this twisty stuff at the end. I was hoping maybe my second view I could come on board with it because I like all this stuff too now so much. But for me, it really goes downhill after this.
yeah. So she wakes up nailed to like
Texas
a wheelchair,
Chainsaw Massacre style.
exactly, to a nice little family dinner. And this is where we get
Those are like spikes, not nails. They're like they get thicker at the top. You know
Yeah,
what I
they're like
mean?
spikes. So, okay, this is where we get introduced to the herd / the flock, and what was it, Mama? What's her name? Is it?
Well, first Fabrizio comes on that screen and tells her all about.
No,
that's
right?
after this.
Oh no,
That's
no,
after this.
because no, she's in the chair at the
The dinner.
At the
Yeah.
dinner.
At the
Got
dinner,
it.
in a
Daytime,
big
again.
field.
Midsummer feeling.
Yes,
Midsummer.
it could just be my impression of the herd. The way that they mocked her, and then kind of the other things in there. So they're all not mentally there, right? Like the way that they
No,
have
this is
the
a very
Three
small
Kings
town,
camp.
I think.
Well, I think that they're all like mentally incompetent, as in like the way that like it's like a camp.
I didn't get that.
I'm like, I think this was like they all not special, but they're all.
That's what you're saying. It's okay
Yeah.
if you think that's what they
I
were.
literally thought like it almost seems like they have like special needs, and that's how they were able to get a huge group of people to do a fake horror movie and actually like kill people. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I thought it was because they were the mafia.
Right.
Oh.
Well,
Because the lady who's the head of the table, the
She
mom,
is also
who
the
we had
mayor.
found out earlier in the movie,
She looks like a period.
is the mayor, and apparently had been cutting down,
Totally.
been getting rid of the mob, cutting down on crime, doing all this stuff. Now she's the head of the table, and she gives some sort. They mock her. They all start doing her whimpering at her, and it's real mean spirited. And she's like, "Oh,
They'll start like
don't mind
laughing
them."
and stuff, and then tells them like,
she gives whatever speech she gives. I don't even remember. But then she says the mafia ain't what it used to be. And we're like, wait, what the fuck? So this whole thing is being done by the mob?
the
Like,
mafia isn't what it used to be.
Ay, ay.
And they needed to learn to adapt.
yeah. So now they're making
and apparently that is making
high budget snuff film.
grade snuff films. Yeah.
Precisely.
So fucking dumb.
So,
But it's this. So it turns from like a fucking folk, supernatural, possibly sci-fi horror to technically a weird giallo because it's set in real life and it's masked people doing a bunch of stabbing and mutilation, but not really. I don't.
Yeah. I don't know what it does.
well, after
it does this.
after the luncheon dinner scene is when she gets wheeled away and brought into the room of
The screens.
screens and talks to Fabrizio. This is also where she fucking decides that she's not going
Rips
to
out
deal
her
with this shit
own-
anymore.
Up
And,
out
yeah.
after the screen cuts. And this is Fabrizio is telling her, yeah, it's me all along. I came up with all these characters. I made the founding Godfathers of Crime, the new Freddy, Jason, and Michael or whatever. And
Worst
Italian
comparison.
cinema is so hard to break into. But like I'm a genius or
Yeah.
something like that. Also, we haven't mentioned it yet. If you've listened to our show before or listened to the Nightclub podcast and you've heard Travis Boone, T-Boo on there or on here, if you ever wondered what he looks like, and if you've seen this movie, Fabrizio looks like the chubby Italian cousin or doppelganger or whatever the fuck of T-Boo, like hardcore. We joked yesterday that if you put because a lot of it's in the eyes and brow area, we joked yesterday that if you put a ski mask on each one of them, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart.
So that's the new game I want to play. I'm just going to put and
so
we'll win a prize.
ski mask
The ski
game.
mask game. So yeah, T-Boo's on the screen telling this lady that he did all this kind of shit, set all this up. Like, I'm a filmmaker. It's not as easy as it was, so I'm going to do it this way. You know, you can make money by selling these snuff films, basically.
It's a cosmic 10K.
Pretty much. I think he says that verbatim. I didn't want, that's in the Italian version, I think. And
Right.
so she's like, well, this is stupid, and I'm fed up, and I'm going to raise my hands off of these spikes and where they get fatter at the top.
Yeah, because that was the thing. I thought they were nails at first. I was like, that
They're like old.
still sucks, especially with the
century
head. But
nails.
these are like spikes. So as you go up, you're like widening your wound to
yeah.
get it out. It's brutal.
Rips her hands off. There's another beautiful shot of her.
And I love that shot from behind.
with the glowing white screens. She comes out, daylight still, of like this small little cabin type of thing. It's not the cabin we're used to.
And next to like it looks like behind the scenes on a movie. There's like various trailers.
Yeah. We
and
start
tent
pulling
setup
out and
for
we see
different.
it's like a movie set
Yeah.
essentially. Props hanging out around here, all these different dead bodies and all this kind of shit. She's wandering her way through. She does eventually see the like waving on one of the things is the little girl's dress. From what they so she's like, that's odd, and she makes her way up to the trailer at the end, and this is where we see Fabrizio and the little
His
girl
sister.
is his sister presumably, and she's all part of it as well.
Yep.
And it's all been part
Eating
of the
snacks.
plan. Yep, eating snacks.
Arguing with him about how to film this.
Slaps
and
him.
Mom's right, you're an idiot. And
Just having some family
I love
drama.
he's wearing that shirt that says spoiler
Yep.
on it.
Typical T-Boo.
Like a very film nerd
Yeah,
shirt.
exactly. I mean, it doesn't help. Fabrizio's character, I mean, everything he's doing, I just still see T-Boo.
Big time. It's crazy. It's like, that's all I could
I'm
think.
sorry, buddy, but it's there.
Yeah. Not exactly.
Not exactly.
I mean, you're much better looking.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like the, uglier, chubblier
This
Italian
is the chubblier version.
The Italian turtle version.
This is the Italian turtle version. No offense
Never wondered
to
what
this
an Italian
actor
turtle
either.
would
Jesus
be.
Christ.
yeah.
We have dug ourselves a
I
really
don't
deep
know how to
hole.
get out of this.
Fantastic.
So Elisa, she's off she also finds some of the masks and shit too. She goes through one of the
She
prop
goes,
rooms and finds
into like a
stuff.
prop tent.
And then she
sees all the masks.
then she's like,
sees
so
a camera.
hanging out, like, okay, understanding what the fuck is going on,
Plotting.
and that this fucking there was the whole setup, the plot, everything that's going on with it. So she
takes a mask and a shotgun and
dresses up in like
little-
overalls.
and the camera. And
well, we
then
see. Okay, so sorry.
we don't really see her take these things.
Right, it's
And
they're
then
arguing.
Fabrizio's
Yes.
arguing with his sister. She goes to storm out of the trailer, and as she opens the door, fucking martyr style, gets blown by the shotgun, exploded, flies back against the wall. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting her to kill the kid, and it's like very violent and visceral too. It's just like stunning when it happened.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they have their whole explosive argument, and then that's when we get the reveal of her. Like you said, it's all shot very well. And then Fabrizio's all angry about this and comes rushing out. So she shoots him in the leg to, immobilize him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's filming this whole thing too. So she has this going on and like adjusts the camera to look down at him as he's like trying to crawl away. And I love it that she's just like, fucking goes up with this shotgun as he's trying to, begging and all that kind of fun stuff.
Make excuses and say things and calls her a bitch.
Oh, of course.
And blah, 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 whatever.
She's like, well,
Get shot
all
in the
right.
head.
And then just fucking blasts him, gives him a little face blast.
Yeah, great.
And that's a great effect on that too, because you can tell it's really him, and the brain splatter and dirt explosion behind him is
So good.
awesome.
And then from there, we get shots of her just walking through the woods, kind of wandering away, trying to fucking find out where she's going. And then eventually she runs into someone.
Yes,
Oh
she
my
does.
gosh. Her almost killing this little poor chubby kid with floaties is like
That kid is way too old for floaties.
way too old.
Those floaties aren't going to do
Also-
shit. He's too big for him too.
again with like the weird sci-fi
just
vibes. I'm
safety
like sitting there going like,
floaties. It's
he's
more
in
of
the
a
middle
mental
of the
thing.
woods.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he went exploring apparently.
Yeah, so this, you're like, wait, and now this kid's running away afraid, and you're
She's
like,
like, hold on.
wait a second,
come
where
back.
are they? Where'd he come from? Yeah, she drops the gun, which was, it turns out okay, but total mistake in my book. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
But she follows the kid. He runs out through a fence. She follows him through the hole in the fence, and then we see a sign on
Like
the fence
military
that
zone or
says,
something like
military
that.
personnel, armed surveillance or something like that. So either it's actually part of a military, or that's just something the mafia has set up there to keep people away. Couldn't really say. But she follows him to a beach. She walks straight onto a beach, and everybody on the beach is like, what the fuck? Everybody pulls out their phones and starts filming it. So it all goes back to the voyeurism, because that was one of the things Fabrizio went on about. People want real horror. They want, the news where the dad kills his son or whatever, the different examples he gives.
She does a little walk off into the water.
And
Walks straight in the water, which didn't make much
then
sense to me.
holds her stomach.
Close her room. It's like, I think I want
So I'm
it.
not sure what that's supposed to
She's
mean.
like
You think that's
yeah,
what
I
it
think
is?
she's like, I think so. It's like, I want
Yeah,
this thing.
after all
I
this.
could be a good mother. That other kid sucked, but I could do
After
this.
surviving,
After killing that other child,
I think I feel a
don't
lot
wanna-
better about this. No, dude, like her life's
wanna have it
completely
my own.
ruined / altered. She's just survived a mafia snuff film. I don't think whatever job or career she had beforehand, I think is pretty much out the fucking window.
I don't know that being a parent would be the first thing I'd want to do after
Right.
that either.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's left ambiguous to say.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And we get, flash a title card, a classic horror story.
Woo!
We get a credit for a second, and then all of a sudden something clicks on. Blood flicks.
Blood
What's
flicks.
this?
Blood flicks.
Looks like Netflix.
There's all
But
this
for
like
blood.
it's like a fucking like chat log going on talking about the movie, but I think it's, not the movie we necessarily just watched, but the Fabrizio's movie or the whatever
one
got
they made in the movie.
Because something got made and uploaded. Whoever the mafia is, I guess, took her footage and was like, well, I guess we got to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we put too much money into this movie already that we can't just not have it finished.
Yeah. So there's like a computer desktop shot. There's some dude in the dark has his webcam on for some reason while he's watching movies, and is like,
I think it's just to indicate to the audience that
there's a shadow person,
yeah,
who's checking this out here. So he goes on fucking his little Onion Tor browser to go up to Bloodflix, and it's the fucking Netflix logo flashing on just like Netflix and everything. Yeah, I'm trying to look at what the time for the movie that got uploaded was. So I'm right about that moment. But yeah, it's like this shadowy guy here, and well, here's a couple of the other movies: The Lady in the Dark, The Four Killers, Evil Doll, Mirror of Horrors. It's 1 hour and 34 minutes.
Okay, so it's
jeez, how did I see 9:47?
I think it's longer than the movie we watched.
That's so funny.
So I wonder if there's more stuff to it, like, I don't know, with that first person we saw that got killed or whatever.
Sure, like maybe that is part of the movie. Yeah.
So this guy kind of like scrubs through it, goes through a few different scenes, is like, okay, and then ultimately gives it a thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Dislikes it. Yeah.
And then you hear like something being like, some young girl being like, hey, daddy. He's like, just a second. And shuts his computer down. And that's the dark, seedy world. People that watch this are dark your fathers and sons and
flicks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the real.
That's the real end. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we get into our little next bit over here that you need to clear up?
Just that it'll be tough when we get to ratings. I'm interested in seeing where I go because so much of it I'm all about, and then I can't figure out a way to like the end of it. I'm trying.
I'm trying, man.
This is one of these rare movies where I think the red herring is better than the main course, if that makes sense.
Way better,
it's like, I would have loved to have seen the end of whatever the actual film was, which is very funny because so did the Mafia, and the Mafia didn't even get the ending of the film they got. Like, could you imagine?
Well, not the Mafia, the
Bloodflix,
client, whoever paid them
to make this,
because it seemed like he dictated, because there's a thing where they say they're like,
she has to be awake.
He wants the person to be aware.
Yeah, they're making it for a client
or something that they're, but yeah.
But what a funny return. So this movie plays out moderately like what we saw, and then it gets to the after the ritual, and then just cuts to a handy cam of just a woman shotgunning a dude in the mouth and then walking off. And then that's the movie. Fiend.
I mean, do you think they had other footage that they tried to like piece together?
Presumably they would have had other footage of her around there after the capture to try and feed it together somehow. I don't know. But I think part of it for me is like, I expected them to be subverting whatever they were doing because of the name, and they talking about horror movies and everything. But the direction that it ultimately went in seemed like they were doing it just to put a twist on it, and not because they were doing any like commentary necessarily. Although I guess maybe at the very end it seems like they're kind of trying to do it, but I don't know. It just, it doesn't work for me.
Hey guys, thanks for going on this journey with us as we flip the switch and twist it around to the back end.
Switch the flip.
Flip switched. Switch flip.
Script the switch.
Scripty 450 flip switch. Over to our crematorium of questions. That's a skateboarding move, right?
It is. I do it every day.
Good. Yeah. All right. First and foremost, are you surviving? If you got hold up in this situation here?
I don't see it. Because they pick a final person, right? She's kind of supposed to be the final girl, even though they plan, I would assume, ultimately on killing her. I feel like I'd end up more like Mark or the Doctor. And
I mean,
I'd probably be Mark. I'd probably get dragged in by those dudes and smashed to pieces.
Hobbled and the eyes gouged out.
I mean,
I don't disagree with you.
I think, yeah, it depends. If we're all together, if it's a shuttle bus that gets brought into this situation, I think we might have a better
on the way
chance.
to Shuttle Fest.
That'd be fun. Yeah, we're on the way to Shuttle Fest, and this happens. I think we have a chance. I mean, I'm not going to have one of his drinks, so I'm not going to be susceptible to the drug in that aspect. I'm like, Sam's going to be past that. So whatever happens, Sam's being like dragged around. That's fun.
It's going to be like Weekend at Bernie's. It'll just be Bryan and I dragging your unconscious body around.
And instead of a call,
what would happen? It'd be like, I got some drinks back there, and I'd be like, oh, thank you, and
you can make
he'd be like, you guys don't want anybody?
I'll have yours.
Like, I also got a joint.
yeah. See, that's the other thing. Like, well, then, and then we find out that's laced with PCP. He accidentally gave us that one. I'm all powerful. We take him out real quick.
Didn't know you like to get slit.
Yeah, didn't know you like to get slit. Oh, I love it. Good. Thanks for bringing it back, Sam. Thank you. So I think, and then when it comes to navigating, like we kind of said, I mean, this place isn't actually a time looped vortex circle or anything. So
right, it's just like
I feel like I've spent enough times in the woods to have some sort of sense of direction to feel like I think I could understand if I'm being brought into a fucking full ass circle.
Yeah, I'd be pretty confident in that as well.
Like,
or at least being like, this doesn't seem the right way.
I'm gonna
yeah, totally.
Which is obviously why he runs off. I think we kind of mentioned it before, but that's why he runs off after Ricardo, because he's like, I don't want him actually going straight and finding the way out of here.
Yeah,
I think he planned to bring him to that effigy thing that they find.
Right. He's like, if he's leaving now, I'll lead him to that. That was probably planned at some point. He's like, this is a good chance to do it. Someone's going to want to go at some point. Like you figure that's going to happen. Okay, cool. So I think if we're all together, I think we stand a chance. Maybe that's how we need to frame the question here. Like if the Shuttlemen are together and the shuttle bus happens into whatever movie, we're always on our way to Shuttle Fest and this happens. Something happens. Beautiful. How'd you feel about the goo level here?
I thought it was fantastic, except for that eye thing. Could have used more there. Mm-hmm. And actually, when they cut off the ears and eyes, we just see it from the side. Or, it's a profile and they do it on the opposite side and pull the ear out. You don't actually see any of that. So throwing some more practical effects there.
I agree.
That would do it. I'm pretty satisfied with the goo otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Besides, I just need an eye pop. Besides that, it was good.
I agree. I think if there is an eye pop, I want it to go to that extra level where I want a squirt of something to come out of that eye pop. If it doesn't do that, I don't want it.
like Friday the 13th in 3D, like it has to shoot at the screen, like at you.
I want to be watching it in a 4D theater and get splatted at. In that scene. That's the perfect level.
Splat.
So that's what we want to see there. Make it happen. Villain level 1 through 10. Now,
all right. So I'll go first.
What do you rank the Mafia?
Yeah, right.
So power level, I put 3 because they are powerful. It is the Mafia, and you are also in a area where they're pretty much all powerful. Mm-hmm. But also you get away, and you should be able to get away after that. So I put a 3 on power level. And then iconography, I was so torn on what to do for this one. I ended up giving it a 2 for all the people we talked about earlier, the knights, the cult, when we're still before we know it's a movie. I wanted to give that some credit, because beyond that, if you're talking about the real villains in the movie, it'd be like a 0. So 5 is my total villain level.
Okay. I gave them a 2.5 for the power level, because it's like you said, it's the mob. They're powerful enough, but as powerful as humans could be. For their iconography, I gave them the 5 because it's the mob. Like everyone knows the mob.
But you don't. When you hear the mob, you don't like. Is there something you picture?
Fat cats in suits.
Sopranos. Yeah, okay. Mine is eerily similar, but for different reasons. All right, so mine was a 2 for power level, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with just human beings, and you can escape. I think like the mob mentality
but it's a group of people.
It's a group.
It's not just
a
like
mob, if you will.
A dude.
So like 2 to a 3 for me for that. But then iconography,
you were 2,
honestly,
he was 2.5, I was 3.
I love the
went right up
knights,
the scale.
dude. I love the night. Like the look is fucking great. For me, iconography was a 4. Even after the reveal of the mob, I mean, like again, like Brian's like it's the mob, like it's infamous. You know what I mean? Right. But even the lead up before that, with the look of these weird, like Templar knight.
Especially
crazy
if
wood like
if they were able to fully execute the movie that they wanted to execute, that would have been
I'm
all right. I'm bumping my iconography to a 2.5.
Sure.
Because that for 5.5 total, but that way it splits the difference of being like they made some badass character design, but then they also got rid of that and made that not the villain.
Right. Does this movie deserve a sequel? And regardless of that, what's a sequel idea that you guys would have if you have one?
The mob's making another movie, but this time we see it like from their perspective as well, and like trying to execute things and like get the girl under the fucking deer,
like a mockumentary behind the scenes, like
a Hostel 2. You get to see behind.
They're not
how the machine
making
works.
this same movie. They're doing some other type of classic horror story. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a haunted house. Who knows? But
I want to see like it's a whole production company that works with that's into making these snuff videos,
high-end snuff
films.
So it's the cold open.
Well, that's what they are.
Scare
the mob
package
is now, right?
Well, this mob is, I think, this little family, whatever this family is.
Yeah, this is what they do.
All right, so mine would be a prequel to another film, but it just plays out like a normal horror film until the final girl gets killed, and then it backs up, and then you see the production and the cleanup, and then like
honestly, that'd almost be a better reveal is if in this one they had killed our main girl, and then like you hear something in the earpiece and he pulls out a walkie-talkie or something, and you find out this is all like a
what if it ends with like, okay, our final girl, she kills him like planned, and then it pulls out with a cut. The director's like, you did it all wrong. We need to go back to she wasn't supposed to kill him. All right, get her out of here. Like, and what the fuck is happening?
What is going on?
All right, that's fun enough. So would you buy this soundtrack or score on vinyl? Nothing too memorable for me on it, realistically.
Are you kidding me? You want to have 2.5 hours of slurping?
No, people are gonna love this.
No, it's a big no.
But that being said, I know we have a big yes with this one. Is there anything action figure worthy? Yeah, 100%.
3 nights.
3 nights.
Oh, yeah, 3 nights. A diorama of just like either the Wicker Shrine or the shrine ritual at the end would be amazing.
Yeah, nice little.
Oh my god, it's a scented candle. Like you light like the wicker man thing you light at the top.
That is the merch or prop I would want from the film, the scented candle wicker statue.
The promo merch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, continue with that thought there. I mean, I'd take any one of those masks. I want the tongue mask.
For the prop, I want the tongue mask.
Like, give me that tongue mask.
100% I want that mask.
Yeah.
With the huge slurpy tongue. It's so gross.
Yeah,
but awesome.
There's some good stuff. I'll take that big fucking sledgehammer mallet.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Ankle smasher.
Honestly, I'd get the trio of paintings as he explains the entire thing. I'd get all of those.
that tells the story.
Yeah.
I'll take the RV.
Yeah, those are cool.
There we go. There's our ridiculous.
I mean,
yeah, sure.
At the end of it is filled with corpses and a dead goat.
Well, but they're not real. This is just a prop
I know.
from
I'm
the
saying
movie.
that's the bonus. You get a bunch of prop bodies.
Okay.
Great. I'll take it.
I thought you were like, so now you got to get a
So now you got a bunch of dead
people.
bodies, man.
I'm like, what's the problem, man? I know what I'm picking.
Yeah. I was well aware, Ross.
All right, Sam, I know you got a double feature for this. What are you pulling along with this one?
It's come up a couple times, but Midsummer, just so you get sort of a similar vibey movie, but with a much different ending.
I think you could pair this with Like
Cabin in the
original.
Woods was my other one.
That's my
Honestly,
immediate
I
thought,
was-
but that's kind of
Yeah. It's almost too
On the
like
nose.
I don't
Yeah.
think they would actually be good to watch together.
because it'd be
Yeah.
too, yeah.
No, mine would be the original Christopher Lee Wicker Man. I think would be a fun one as a pairing
Oh
with
yeah,
this.
that would and you get like the difference in eras too. I think makes
Totally.
it more fun to pair
I
up.
think you should watch it with hackers.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Hack the Planet.
And what are you going to go ahead and do at the midnight show?
So beers, cheers with the beers, easy one. The other one is that moment we talked about with all the villagers, and they start doing that, and everybody goes, "Here, kitty, 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 kitty."
Yeah, I was thinking everyone just kind of, oh my God, imagine a movie theater full of
People making
Oh,
that.
people making that noise would be so gross. If
the
you had,
equivalent of being moist in there.
oh god, yeah. If you had fake ears,
Like Jeff Goldblum walked
if you
in.
had fake ears and eyeballs you threw at the screen, would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, that
Yes.
are like sticky.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought about when the
Yes.
guy gets hobbled, just throwing shoes at the front. It would just be like just terrible.
Oh yeah, fake eyes, like a fake ear. Anytime like appended, you lose something there.
Yeah, it just gets thrown at the screen.
That'd be that. Yeah, that's a good. I don't know how you throw slits. Get slid.
I do.
Sam knows how to throw a
That's
slit.
Patreon content.
Yeah, exactly.
Patreon.
I can't get the image of moist Jeff Goldblum coming into a theater.
Oh,
That's the
God.
grossest place on earth in the universe.
Yeah, slits.
Everyone's slitting.
That's my Jeff Goldblum. Yes, slits. Yeah.
All right, let's get over to our ratings. It's time
You
to.
made it this far. Impressive.
It's time to go ahead and pull out. It's time to pull it out as we rate this film on the channel scale.
Pull out your fingers and get ready to slit.
Time
God.
to slit it off. Oh,
Well, it's been
all
fun,
right.
guys.
Well, yeah, with this is chopping off 0 to 5 fingers. Each finger relates to a different category for how we feel about the movie. Kicking us off, we're gonna go over to you, Ross. Finger number 1
Finger
will be engaging.
number
Sam,
1.
you'll be next.
Okay. So engaging, I will give this a full 1 for engaging. I think the fake movie scenario, I was engaged the entire time. And then even the tonal shift, I still was engaged thoroughly because I was like, what the fuck? All right. Well, how is this? You know what I mean? Like, what the shit? How is this?
Yeah.
Sticky. Fuck. Sticky is a tough one. Sticky's going to get a 0.5. It sounds weird. I almost want to give it a 1 because it's like a 0.75 in my head, is that I love 3/4 of this movie. And then and there's certain things, the visuals, the lighting, the cinematography is fucking great. And then the reveal kind of happens and it's good. It's just a little more of like a whop whop for me than anything else.
Flat.
Yeah. So
Or disappointing, you know, compared to how you felt before that.
But I think it's to the credit of the writer because it's like a very compelling original, like it's a very compelling story that I actually wanted to have concluded, you know. T-shirtable is going, God, yeah, I mean the 3 nights on a shirt is going to get a 1. I mean, like there's some really cool imagery in this, spoiler free imagery, you know what I mean? Like I feel it's fun too.
Totally.
Cockles, man, dude, Cockles is going to get a 0.5 for me too, because I think it just goes hand in hand with Sticky. Is that like this got my goat like for over half of this movie, because I was
Got the goat.
got my goat. Guys, I don't know. I mean, like it's either like this like pagan supernatural weird, where it just reminds me of like
Potentially
Tomb of the Blind Dead.
sci-fi.
Yeah, or it's a science fiction one. I was picturing like they're on a fucking spaceship somewhere, and this is just like some weird human experiment, or like some you know, and then having the actual reveal still set in the real world was like, all right. And then rewatchable. Rewatchable is a tough one. I think I'm going to give rewatchable a 0.5 because I do enjoy it. And if you're into movies that turn into different movies, it's not terrible, but it's not the best. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I was in like if we had a power block, or one of our cycles was like switcheroo movies, You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
this would be a good one on that list.
Sure.
But shy out of that ecosystem, I'm like,
And
meh.
there's enough good stuff in there to want to revisit it. You just gotta also
You got to deal with the
hang
ending.
out for the end.
So
Yeah.
was that a?
Makes sense. So that's a 3.5 out of 5. How does that feel?
You know, honestly, that feels good. You know what I mean? I enjoy this above average, absolutely, but I just don't think it hits a 4 for me. You know,
Totally. Yep.
Yep, Sam.
Alrighty, engaging. That's again echoing you. Full one. I was into it. I'm following it, even with the twist that I don't like. You want to know what's going on. Why is this happening? Sort of thing. So fully engaged there. Sticky, kind of, Ross. I'm with you where it almost be 0.75. So I'm actually going to give it a 1 for that because I think I'll remember it for a variety of reasons. All the cool stuff I liked in the beginning, how I didn't like the end. Mix it all together. It's just going to be, I think, I could see myself referencing it. I usually don't get Sticky a 1 off the top, but I am for this one.
it's
T-shirtable actually go into a 0.5, not a 1. Yes, there's a bunch of cool imagery, but because I'm kind of so torn and upset on the movie, it's not like a movie I want to walk around with on my chest. I don't want somebody to be like, oh, classic horror story, you really like that? And be like, well, it's complicated.
I get that. Yeah.
We have a complicated relationship.
Yep. 0.5 there. Cockles is going to get a 0.5 as well because of everything I just said. My cockles are rocking in the beginning, especially on your first watch, and all the different tidbits you're learning, and it's just so cool. And where's this going to go? And then none of that really pays off, which is unfortunate. And then rewatchable is also going to be a 0.5. I don't really necessarily see myself watching this again, other than for the fact to be like, well, the first 3/4 of it I really like, so I can just go back to that world knowing that the ending is what it is. Which also gives me a 3.5 out of 5, which I guess I'm okay with because, like I said, I want to like this movie. I could have seen this being lower coming into this, so I'm actually kind of happy giving it a higher score. So 3.5 is fine.
Thank you, Sam. It's a great score. I mean, both coming in there. And I'm probably going to echo a lot of the same things here. Engaging, it gets the full 1 for engaging. It is a highly engaging movie. It's beautiful to look at. I feel like it just sucks your attention in there. And it sucked me on screen. So
On screen.
Sticky.
Did anybody know anything about what was going to happen in this movie when you went into it?
Not at all.
Me neither. And when they first woke up in the RV and just in the middle of the nowhere, immediately I was like, all right, I'm fucking like in for this. This is cool.
I had a tidbit, just one small thing. When we get to that dinner, them all eating scene, and you realize it's part of like the government, which is also part of the mafia, I got Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation vibes for like 0.2 seconds. And I think that affected my score a little bit, to be totally honest with you.
Well,
I was like, it's the government?
Because everyone's a little bit dirty. It has the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes in that sense that everyone's a little dirty looking. There's like a kid that's singing has some sort of deformity going on.
But then like the government's
I love
involved,
that
so it's
song
like
he's
it wasn't
singing,
at least it wasn't the
though.
Illuminati like in Next Generation, but it definitely gave me Next Generation vibes where it's like,
But yeah, because the head of the family is also like the mayor, and then the cops roll up and like to take her off while she's nailed down. So I totally get it. Sticky, I'm gonna give it. This one I'm having it's that 0.75 territory.
I know.
So
This is
maybe
one of
we
the
need
first
to
movies.
reevaluate quarters of fingers. Maybe we need to have a talk
Knuckles.
about that off
Maybe.
screen.
Well, we'll talk about that. Let's talk about that when we get sucked off screen.
Because sometimes you just need to give them a knuckle. But Sticky, I think I will. I'm going to give it the 1.
Mhm.
I think for bad or for good, I think I'm going to remember this being a thing here. I don't know. I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah.
T-shirt bulk gets the 0.5 because again, it's that complicated relationship thing. As much as beautiful imagery, and I'd love all of that, I could easily be convinced with the right shirt, but it says it's like, yeah, I love it. Like Sam said, echoing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cockles, 0.75. No, I'll give it the 0.5 on that one. I wanted to give it more, and it's just like, and I'm not as, I don't want to say upset. I don't want to put words in y'all's mouth, but like of like how I think the reaction I hear from you, I'm like, okay, it was I'm like, it's a fine thing. I'm like, okay, I think of it almost kind of, it's funny to me to think of, even though it's not like the typical like mafioso like Don mob. I imagine that running it, and that makes me laugh, and I think that's hilarious.
I can see why that's funny to you, but it's just so dumb to me. It really bothers me.
Like I just imagine like the scene in the woods.
This is how the mafia makes money now. They're making these high-end snuff films.
Well, I imagine like a mafia someone low in the mob is like you just now is like one of the people that were in the woods scaring Fabrizio. Like the people next to me is like, this is what we're fucking doing now. We're in the woods at fucking 2 a.m. I gotta wear this fucking mask.
Why am I wearing this mask again?
There's
Nobody talks.
I love that you imagine them as like New Yorkers.
New York. Yeah.
It's just a union gig.
Exactly. There's this whole other backstory behind the scenes world I think I created because I heard the word
Italian American
mafia, like
Jersey boys.
so whatever, 0.5 for Cockles.
Good kid from the neighborhood.
And rewatchable, 0.5 as well, I think works. Just because it's like, I would rewatch this, but not eager to. So 3.5 as well, which I kind of thought it was going to sit there because like there's nothing about this movie that I truly dislike or hate. Even the ending I don't have a strong dislike for. That just knocks down how much I like the other part. So I think a 3.5 sits right for me. So that brings it 3.5 across the board. Not much
wild
from... Well, let's see. The club did have some...
I got some stuff from the club, yeah.
Yeah, okay. What they got?
So first we got Fabrizio, a.k.a. Tibu. He says, engaging, 1. I saw this once when it came out, and again for y'all's episode, and I was fully engaged with the film on each watch. Sticky, 0.5. I remember next to nothing about this movie from the first watch, and upon a rewatch, I saw why. Even though I was engaged, I could tell it would be fleeting. T-shirtable, 1. There's plenty of imagery that I'd rock on a t-shirt. The 3 cult leaders would be sick. Yep. Cockles, 0.5. This movie doesn't do a lot for me, which is a shame because it should. The folk horror aspects and cinematography are great, but the movie falls apart in what feels like a forced third act. Cabin in the Woods and Belko Experiment did this better. Rewatchable, 0. If I never see this again, I won't care. The only reason I'd watch it is for a podcast or if someone begged. 3 out of 5, and that feels high. Not hating on the movie, just doesn't work for me, brother. Which that was my Hulk Hogan voice because he said to do it that way.
Sam, I've noticed,
and that kind of echoed a lot of the same stuff that we've been saying. He came in a little lower on it, but I said the same thing. I thought I would come in lower than I was, and like maybe even a 2.5. But I'm happy to give it a higher score. And then we have the Witch Plalix jumping in. Where was that? I gotta scroll through to find it.
He was having some subtitle issues.
Yeah, love the Midsummer Texas Chainsaw aesthetic of the movie, but the subtitles issues kept me from finishing it. So 3.5 phantom fingers until they can actually finish it.
So he
which
nailed
is
it.
funny because 3.5 is perfect. Yep,
exactly. The Witchy Cajun did say, I've never seen it, but I bet David Gordon Green would have made it better.
Oh, yeah. He's on that kick lately.
So there you have it. And like we said, this movie sits in a 3.5, which sits in plenty of good territory. Our buddy New Year's Evil, Wreck 2, Bird with Crystal Plumage, all at 3.5s. Chud, the menu, right below it.
Chud's on
Jason
the menu.
X, the editor. Final Destination, Tokyo Gore Police, Night of the Demon, right above it.
You surprised to see Night of the Demon that high?
You were genuinely shocked.
Yeah.
I know. I'm at a 4 on that, I believe.
Yes, you are. You and Ross gave Name the Demon a 4, which, I mean, okay. That's an early one. It's been a while.
It is an
It's
early
been
one.
a
I
while.
haven't watched it since then, to be fair, but I mean, there's some very memorable, fun stuff in that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Just,
That's what we have from
because the score is high does not mean it's good.
I mean,
No.
no. It's all about.
No.
No.
If you want to check out my list of top horror movies on Letterboxd, you'll see that my number 1 is Scream and my number 2 is Troll 2. So
You
definitely
decide.
not on whether or not it's good.
There you go. I questo conclude in contra di stasera del Chuddle Movie Club. Non dimenticare di entrare in Discord, il posto migliore per continuare questa conversazione con noi e con gli altri membri del club e gli ospiti precedenti.
Jump in our Discord. You can participate with us and say, your scores in the movie and all sorts of fun stuff in there.
Non dimenticare at Chuddle the Sam su Letterboxd.
Yeah, Chuddle the Sam on Letterboxd. Check me out.
At
So-
Ross Purvis su Instagram.
Hey.
That's
Do you translate that? Ross Purvis.
Hey.
E tutti noi at Chuddle the Pod su Instagram. Threads.
Threads.
Facebook.
Yep.
E-slasher?
Doing all of it right now. Slasher. Not Twitter.
No.
Instagram,
No.
Slasher,
No
Threads,
Twitter.
Facebook. I'm working it. Threads is fun.
Favore valutasi e reminiscenze assuranti di dirlo a un amico e fino alla promessa volta. Please rate and review us. Be sure to tell a friend. Be a friend.
Yeah. If you made it this far, you must really like it. So please,
Especially
try and
through
spread
all
the
of
word.
this. That's just happening.
Yes, exactly. Been a lot of auditory strangeness this episode.
Hey, welcome to the goo. And until next time, evita il loop temporale.